So we're gonna make popcorn tofu. Tofu, as we just talked about recently, and I've done other videos, comes in different forms. I want you to use either extra firm or firm, and in a pinch, maybe medium. Drain it, get the water out of it. It also sometimes comes in a 2-pack, so I did a fabulous job cutting it. As you can see, we want to open our tofu like so and get the water out. So this block of tofu looks different because, and the water comes out very easily because I froze it and then defrosted it. And so when you do that to your tofu, it changes the texture, as you can see. You could not, the amount of pressure I'm putting on this right now, you could not do with a block of tofu that had not been frozen and then defrosted. Okay, so I didn't realize that this package was the one that was defrosted, but that's okay. I've been wanting to, or frozen, I've been wanting to try tofu, frozen tofu in this recipe. So let's do it. Here we go. Okay, so we are going to put in, because it's a half package, you guys, I'm doing half of the ingredients or, scant. The recipe is on the website, bypassthecow.com, under recipes. And here, garbanzo bean flour is my preferred flour of choice for this recipe, so we're putting that in there. Nutritional yeast, if you are not familiar with it, get familiar with it. It's lovely, lovely. And I've got a mix of spices. I'm using this store-bought Jack Daniel's chicken rub. No, it does not have chicken in it. It's just got flavors that they market to be used on chicken. I put in about a 1/4 teaspoon of black salt, also called kalinamak. If you're not familiar with this, it's fabulous for any tofu dish or any dish at all that you want to bring kind of an eggy, sulfury aroma to it. So it's really good in this dish. Today I'm going to use a little liquid smoke. I don't call out doing this necessarily, but I want to try it in this recipe. So I'm doing that. I also want to bring a little bit of heat to my mix. So I'm putting some sriracha in there, and we always want a little bit of acid, a little mustard. You can use any kind of mustard, you guys. If you like mustard, go 2 tablespoons. If you don't, go light 1 tablespoon, but you do want some acid in there. Okay, so we've got all this in there. Let's mix these up a little bit. I'm gonna, put some water in here. Now, you should obviously measure. I didn't. But the first time you do a recipe, any recipe, if it's a new recipe, always stick to the recipe as close as possible, at least the measurements and the techniques and procedures, so that you understand, what the creator was intending, I guess we could say. Let's see what happens with this kind of tofu in here. So now we're going to break up our tofu, and we're going to just mix all of this in here. Sometimes I just like to use my hands. Let's see. I can smell that liquid smoke. It's not too much. And there we go. Now, if this were not the frozen, defrosted version of tofu, it would be a different texture. It would hold together. It would be, I don't even know how to describe it. We'll see later. I have other videos, and we're teaching a class in a little bit with that. Okay, so we have this ready to spread on our parchment paper lined baking sheet, or whatever you're going to cook this in. You can cook it in the oven or an air fryer, it doesn't matter. So real quick, parchment paper, not wax paper. You will only make that mistake once. So when you're baking or high temperatures, you want parchment paper, not wax paper. Wax paper is great for your sandwiches, to wrap your sandwiches in. Okay, old style, old school. So we're going to put this all in here on our parchment paper lined tray. giving it room. Now I've been preheating my air fryer to 400 degrees. If you were using a more tomato-based or something that had a lot of sugar in it, maple syrup or agave or something, you want your oven on a high temperature, because you want to just suck dehydrate all the water out of the tofu quickly, but you don't want to burn the sugars that might be in there. So, rule of thumb, usually I say a high temperature oven to get started. And watch it after 15 minutes, then check it every 5 minutes until you're comfortable with making this and you understand your equipment and how the tofu is going to behave. Okay, I'm going to stick it in the oven and we'll see you guys in a few.